Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the Boost Mobile Sprint Car, which has just been launched onto the track. I think it was just a one-off meeting driven by Supercars driver Brodie Kostecki. We're going to be doing a bit of a look at this livery and a redesign to make it look a bit more like his supercar. So let's have a look. So if we have a look here, we can see that the base of the sprint car is white. I'm guessing they've probably done that just because it was a once-off meeting. So they, wrapping the whole car for a single event is, you use what you've got basically. So they've done a white base. Traditionally, most of the Boost liveries in the supercars have been on black bases, a matte black or satin black finish. Sometimes they have gone to silver, and in the past they have also done white though. So I actually think the livery looks quite good. It's very striking and bold and high contrast, which is always good for a sprint car. So I'm not knocking the livery at all, but I just wanted to have a go at redesigning it to, if the budget was unlimited and they got to go all out and make it look a lot like the supercars, how it could look. So let's jump in and have a look at the supercar here. So as you can see, it's quite a dark livery, the supercar. It's got the satin sort of finish to the base. And I think the decals on this one are actually printed into it, so they're also got a matte finish. Often they'll put gloss decals on top, which just creates that extra depth. If we look into the black areas here, you can see a bit of a textured sort of finish, which looks quite good. Just adds that little bit of detail. So if we jump into the side view here, we can see that some of the decals do actually have that gloss finish. These major ones here on the side seal there, they also have the gloss finish, which means they're an overlay on top of the main print. But if you look close, you can see that some of these spears through here, these orange and white spears, they don't have a gloss finish, so they're part of the main print. If we have a look back through some of the older liveries that involve Boost sponsorship, we can see that they maintain that satin or matte finish for the black and gloss finishing for the overlay decals, and they're very, very bold and rather simple. They have one or two colors, usually the black, the orange, and sometimes they'll have bits of white, but they're usually very clean, striking, and bold. So depending what team they're sponsoring at the time, they may have different design elements and design styles that they have to work in with their livery. This is one of the older Walkinshaw cars, which always traditionally has the big mobile one on the hood. HSV sponsoring, and probably has to incorporate more of the red or orange sort of colouring to tie in with the Holden and Walkinshaw branding. And as we can see with this livery, they've actually used a fluorescent orange rather than a printed orange, which stands out a lot better in the field. It's got that real intense vibrancy. Now, not all of their liveries have been dark colourings. They have actually used silver and white in the past, and even last year they actually sponsored two teams within the Supercar series, one of which ran a silver base. It doesn't always end well. They do get together sometimes. I still think it ties in really well with their branding. It's still very clean and crisp, as we can always see. They've got the Boost Mobile with the bold outline. It's always got to have the bold outline if there's any other colorings nearby. And I used the logo element here to break apart the car into two sections. They use it as a separation tool. And now we come full circle back to one of the Walkinshaw cars that is actually on a white base, similar to the sprint car. And as you can see again, the big mobile one on the hood to suit the team. So I think a few key takeaways from looking at those liveries are they need to be clean and simple, bold. In most of them, they have a lot of contrast. The satin finish with the gloss decals on top looks really good, and they like to use that. So to make it look like the current supercar, I think we really need to get the ratio right, will be key, between the dark finish on the base, the orange, and the slim amount of white. Getting the right amount of white is probably the key, I think, to really pulling off that livery. We want to use that texture in the background. That's a similar sort of texture anyway. Okay, so let's jump in and have a look at how the redesign went. First things first, I did move the Boost logo down to the body rather than the wing and swapped it with the Motorsport sails. The main reason with that was I just thought it was going to let us get both logos bigger. It's still clearly going to be a Boost car because of our use of orange throughout the design. But hey, that's the joy of doing a concept rather than actually having to work with the sponsors on where they want it placed and where they've paid for. So here we can see that I'm just trying a few different ideas out, trying to get a feel for where everything's going to work the best. Here I put in the texture into the background, the light grey over the dark grey. And you only want that very subtle. You don't want it to overtake the main sponsor's logo. Once I finished recording, I did actually go back and change the wing some more. I still wasn't quite happy with how it looked. Sometimes it's good to have a little break from what you're doing and come back, you know, half an hour later, when you've got fresh eyes, and go over it again. And so this is how the livery has turned out. I've gone ahead and put it onto a 3D model and done some renderings, and I'm really quite happy with how it's come up. I've tried to replicate the launch photos for other Bruce liveries with the orange lighting on the ground, and I think it suits the sprint car quite well as well. So I think this is probably the best mix between the current supercar and putting it onto a sprint car. We've kept the satin or matte finish underneath with the little bit of texture involved, and we've used fluoro orange to get that real punch under the lights for the sprint car. Well, that's it for this redesign. Let me know your thoughts. Did you like how this turned out, or did you prefer the original white sprint car? And do you think it was a good interpretation of the Supercars livery onto a sprint car? If there's any livery swaps that you'd like to see, let me know and we'll see if we can make it happen. If you like this video, it would be cool if you could subscribe, because we've got plenty more livery swaps on the way and other cool content. And thanks for watching. Peace.